Right. And that's the
Absolutely.
basis of your trust model, correct? Like that's essentially
Absolutely.
what it is.
Yeah.
And which fascinates me. So talk to me a little bit more about that model. I know how important trust is as a a business leader. You can't function without it. It depends on what level of trust you're willing to work with as a leader. And I find that a lot of my colleagues, specifically in IT, tend to kind of land somewhere in the middle, whereas they are about as trusting of their employees as their skepticism and experience as business leaders will let them be. And
Wow.
Yeah.
well, but this is the issue, right? Is that you
Yeah.
suddenly, when you do that, you're leaving a whole space of distrust that and with that basically makes you think that you have to deploy rules, extended rules, and really
Mm-hmm.
off-putting boundaries and micromanagement situations
Yeah.
for your employee base. This is what I found in my experience. And again, in my experience, when you can, it's hard to overcome that as a business leader, that kind of, I basically trust them, but I trust them up to here, because at the end of the day, they're really always out for themselves, because that's what people are. They need to be able to make sure that their families are taken care of and they are taken care of. But once I could lift myself past that as a leader and go, yes, people are going to be people, but if we're going to create a workspace that has enthusiasm and loyalty and a trajectory of success that the clients can then absorb, I have to get past that part of distrust as a leader. I have to say, yes, I know that you are going to make the best decisions for your family and for yourself ultimately, but I can certainly make you as comfortable as possible and as happy as possible in this situation, so that if you do decide that you're going to make a different decision and leave, I have done everything I possibly can.
Well, absolutely, Shayla. And, I just a couple points to play off of what you said. The first one is related to sort of people's personal tendencies to either trust or withhold trust. And in our experience, we work with companies in all industries, and there's a big difference between sort of relationships in a professional services firm or maybe a nice little not-for-profit versus like tech or manufacturing.
Correct.
And so what we found is that leaders all bring their personal bent into how they extend trust to their employees and how employees then in turn relate to them. But the one thing we try and tell our clients is that this is not fixed. Okay, so anyone, it doesn't matter if you're a hardcore, skeptical, glass half empty, technical person that's always looking to critically assess everything, or if you're like a super trusty, touchy-feely person, everyone has the opportunity to inject or develop new habits that will actually build trust with your team. And so whether you're starting from this end of the spectrum or this end, what we do is we help organizations say, okay, let's look at what you're doing now and how could you like tweak that a little to start fostering trust with your team. So I think that's the first thing that we do, work with organizations in various industries where some have more work to do than others in terms of those personal interactions and extending trust. And then the second thing I was going to say is really related to how trust can build collectively. And so let's use PACE as an example. And so when you kind of first started on this journey, you were probably had committed executives, committed leadership, and then you brought everybody along on this journey with you. And once trust starts to build, it takes on its own momentum. It becomes the way you do things in the organization. So I don't know if that's something you've experienced over the last 5 years at PACE.
Yeah,
it's on a life of its own.
It takes on a life of its own. That's exactly what it does. It gathers its own momentum. It actually sets its own, it actually becomes the goal setter, rather than having, obviously myself and my executive team, we will consistently be looking at our goals and our, where we need to kind of steer the ship in the right direction.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's the enthusiasm and the ideas and the innovations that come from a happy environment where people are looking, or have, feel like they have and do have a vested interest in the company.